All right, guys, so this weekend is the Bridgestone Invitational. My main man, Jason Day, is just a few strokes out of the lead. He looks to be playing pretty well, rounding into form just before the PGA Championship. So awesome. So I actually wanted to compare Jason Day's swing to my other main man, Sergio Garcia. And the reason why is I see Jason Day as a clear modern swinger, and Sergio still has some throwback classic swing in his game, especially when you look at his lower body. So I'm going to compare these guys just at a glance and see what the main differences are. I love Jason Day. I think he's super duper cool, and I can't swing like him. I don't have the flexibility to do this. In fact, the swing is from a few years ago when he was probably even more flexible. But he has unfortunately suffered some trouble with his back. I hope that's not going to be a problem moving forward. So let's take a look at J-Day's golf swing here. You'll see he makes this massive turn. Look at all this shoulder turn he gets with minimal movement of his waist. I mean, his belt buckle is hardly moved. It's moved a little bit, sure, and he's on his way into the downswing now. And now we're going to see him go down and crush this ball. I'm sure he hit it a mile. Now notice his arms in relationship to the club. That's almost like Mo Norman-like, his idea of the left arm and club as one rod. You know, very, very interesting. Great shot. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at Sergio's golf swing. Here what we see is he's starting to really turn away from the ball and allow his hips to open up. So if you take a look at Sergio's hips and shoulders right now, his hips and shoulders, there's not a huge differential between the two of them. Now his shoulders are going to continue to turn even farther. His hips are about maxed out, and I described him as being a squat turner, like Bernhard Langer. Sergio's lower body and Bernhard Langer's lower body are very, very similar. Now, if we look at Sergio next to Jason Day, we're going to see a little bit of a difference here. Yeah, so J-Day is still more on top of the ball. His hips haven't opened very much at all, and he's got a massive shoulder turn. So that's a lot of spine twist. Now, Sergio will create a lot of spine twist as well, but it's just going to be a little bit different. So we watch Sergio come down and just crush this ball. It's so crazy. And so the biggest difference that I see is the way that Sergio Garcia maintains his shaft angle. He uses his club on the same shaft angle that he set up at address, whereas J-Day is going to find a much higher shaft angle when he comes into the ball. So let's take a look at that. So what I've done here is I've added my shaft plane line for Jason Day. And he's going to take his hands right back up that plane line, and then he's going to reach for more leverage to the shoulder plane. Classic two-plane swinger. Now we're going to watch Jason Day's head here. He looks to be in a really, really great position to deliver this golf club. But we're going to discover that it looks like he needs a little bit more space. See how this club is coming in a little bit steep? If I was to make a line here, it'd point slightly inside of the golf ball. And as we continue, he's going to pull his head back away from where he started. So let's take a look at where his head was at the beginning. Look at how much space Jason Day has to create for his arms and the club head, because it's coming in pretty steep. Now he's not standing up like most amateur golfers are, but he's creating space by moving back away from the ball. And as we come into impact, here we see the rod that I was talking about, but look at how much higher his hands are than they were at address. This is a different way to hit a golf ball. This is what Jack Nicklaus told me personally when he said, The clubs are allowing them to do some things differently than we did back in our day. And so there he fully releases the club. And like I said, it looks like he really cuts the corner there. So now if we take a look at Sergio Garcia, I've got his shaft plane lit up, and I've got a box over his head. The box goes to the front of the bill of his cap. And we can see clearly that Sergio, he takes the club up along the shaft plane line, but he reaches pretty early to the shoulder plane. He's keeping it in front of his body. But here, you can't keep it in front of the body anymore. The arms have to kind of like start to, fall behind, so to speak. This is the beginning of lag right here when this lower body is going to get his upper body a little head start. So as that lower body goes, Sergio's famous for saying he feels like he's pulling a chain. Look at this club shallow out. It's really the freaky move that Sergio Garcia does that blows people away. And right here, he's got that thing working down the shaft plane line. And he's going to meet that ball exactly where he aimed it at address. This is the biggest thing. Now, a driver, the face is fairly straight up and down. I mean, it has like maybe 9 degrees of loft, 10 degrees. It depends on what, how you hit the ball. It's a pretty straight up and down club. But my point is, if your hands go higher than the plane you set up at address, the club face is going to be pointing someplace differently than where you set up at address. I figure you can learn to work with it, but I think it's very interesting that Sergio Garcia is using the club in more of the manner that it has traditionally been designed for. Now, if we look at Sergio Garcia's head, we're actually going to notice that his head does the opposite of Jason Day. He actually moves in an inch or two, and then he drops down. See those knees, the deep knee bend, and that right heel is still connected to the ground. And here he's just pivoting right through the ball. And the thing that's interesting, if you talk about the way he's using this club, his hands are fine. He doesn't have to reach out to the ball. It's a lot different. There's an angle here that isn't present in Jason Day's delivery. Jason Day's arms and club are going straight up and down like this, whereas he's got the club going out. Now, my teacher, Greg McCatton, tells me you don't have to reach to the ball. The club is built out to the ball. That's why it has this lie angle. And then we see Sergio Garcia just give it a rip. Now, I'll tell you, these are two of my favorite golfers. I try and imitate Sergio a little bit more than Jason Day. My back couldn't handle Jason Day's golf swing, unfortunately. But, they're both super cool. There's different ways to play the game. If you're a younger golfer, you may want to try and emulate Jason Day. I'm a little bit older, and I found that the classic swing works really well for me. So that's been a fun exploration that you can also try. But there's a lot of ways to hit a golf ball. I don't think there's any one perfect way. I discuss what I'm working on, the most, obviously, which is the classic swing. But, if you're playing golf and you're having fun, I think that's wonderful because I want everybody to hit them long and hit them straight.
It's hard to describe the sound when Mr. Hogan hit a shot.
He had this tenacity about him. It's really the stuff legends are made of.
He was like Michelangelo and Da Vinci. He was an artist with a golf club.
This is Ben Hogan's locker right here, number 50.
He caddied for my dad. That was the beginning of their relationship.
Suffering produces endurance. Endurance produces character.
He knew what was going to happen, and there wasn't anything he could do about it.
Why he actually decided at that point in time to share what he told me, I have no idea.
What I think he did was he applied physics better than everybody else. Ben Hogan never watched Jack Nicklaus practice, but Jack Nicklaus watched Ben Hogan practice.
People say Hogan won't ever talk to you. Well, Hogan talked to me a lot.